I'm Kieran Crowley, the writer of the Santa List, and today I'm just going to read you a short piece from the book. Now we find the two main characters, Aisling and Joe, in the back garden of their house along with Hudson, their dog, 3 days before Christmas. So what's happened is they've ended up in Santa's naughty list and they're trying to get back in his good books. So what they've done is written a message to Santa on a huge bedsheet, and they're going to try and attach that bedsheet to the roof so that when Santa's sleigh flies over, he'll see the message and know that he should give them their presents. They looked up at the roof. It was high and the ice and snow-covered tiles appeared slippy and dangerous. The thought of climbing all the way up there made them nervous. But Aisling wasn't about to let fear stop her. "We'll need a ladder," she said. "I'll get one," Joe replied, dropping the bedsheet and running towards the garage. A yelp from Hudson made him stop. The wind had gusted and caught the sheet, lifting it into the air. Aisling hung onto the rope as the weather threatened to steal their hard work away. "Don't just stand there, Joe. Help me," she said. Joe ran back and grabbed another strand of rope just in time as the sheet flapped and whip-cracked around the garden, dragging them left and right, their feet furrowing the snow as they clung on grimly. Hudson decided it was time to help and leaped up, grabbing a third piece of rope between his teeth. "Good boy," Aisling said. "You're a brilliant dog." "Rrrr," Hudson agreed. "That was close," Joe said. "But we've got it under control now." He was wrong. Without any warning, the bedsheet took off like a kite rocket, blasted into the winter sky by a huge gust, and it carried one dog and two children high into the air. Within seconds, they were flying over the snow-covered rooftops and streets of the town. "Don't let go," Aisling shouted as they were buffeted around. "What makes you think we'd let go?" Joe replied. "We're not idiots." "Rrrr," Hudson agreed. Down on the street below, they spotted a neighbour taking his grocery shopping from his car. "Hello, Mr. Quigley," Joe shouted. The man looked up and absent-mindedly smiled and waved. "Oh, hi, Joe. Hello there, Aisling. And is that little Hudson I see there too?" he said. "Happy Christmas to you and your family." Then it dawned on him that seeing flying children and dogs in the sky was not a normal thing, and he began to panic. He jumped up and down as if he didn't know what else to do. "Help, help, look, there in the sky," he shouted to passers-by. "My neighbours are flying. Call the army, call the airport, call someone." By the time anyone else had looked up, another gust had whisked him past the church and out of sight, which left Mr. Quigley feeling confused and wondering if his eyes had been deceiving him. 20 metres up in the air, they swirled and swooped, completely out of control, their hair flying wildly, their arms aching as they clung onto the ropes for dear life. Only Hudson seemed to be enjoying himself. Everything appeared distant and weird when seen from this strange new point of view. They noticed frisbees and other toys stuck on roofs. They spotted a group of children around Aisling's age sliding down a hill using shiny plastic coal bags as makeshift toboggans. They came face to beak with a plump seagull who was astonished to find humans in the air and had to peck himself to make sure he wasn't dreaming. On and on they flew, past the town centre and out towards the housing estates and flats on its edges. Eventually, the wind began to die down. "We're going to land. We have to guide ourselves carefully if we don't want to crash into a building," Aisling said. As the gusts and blusters gradually eased to a soft breeze, they began to float towards an estate where the houses were much smaller than their home and everything appeared to have been squashed together. There were decorations in most of the front gardens and cheerful polar bears, snowmen and penguins in the windows. Many houses had twinkling lights strung along the edge of the roof. But there were two houses side by side, nestled in a corner of the estate, that stood apart from all the others. These houses were free from all Christmas cheer and bleaker than the rest. And it was one of these houses, the grim-looking last house on the left, that they were heading towards. On the far side of the houses lay a small woodland with winter bare trees. Just beyond that were white-covered fields and hills where the town ended and the countryside began. But Aisling didn't think they'd be able to make it that far. "If we get higher, we can just about make those woods," she shouted. They looked like they'd make for a softer and safer landing than the roof of someone's house. Joe pursed his lips and started blowing air at the bedsheet to make it rise higher. To his surprise, that didn't work at all. They were 10 metres up in the air and 20 metres from the house when its front door opened and a large boy with hair that can only be described as angry emerged. Aisling and Joe recognised him at once. It was Victor Loser, the toughest kid in school, the kid who was supposed to have named his fists Death Killer and the Punisher. So that's all we have time for today. So if you want to find out what happens next, you can read the Santa list. Happy Christmas to you and your family.